as though I have conquered death. I live death every day. I am surrounded by it, smothered by it. Look at you now. He would have everlasting life. You seek to defy death, yet you cannot even defy sleep. And our like sleep is to death. It is a painted death.
I remember childhood without any friends. Just me and my imagination. So I made up my own friend. Crim's my best bud. I don't know what I'd do without him. But there's some things we should keep locked away. Not the imaginary friends, but the imaginary fiends. Crim, where are you?
What is up, everybody? How are you doing? Welcome to Shanth and Jetty Art. I am Shanth and Jetty. It is great to see you guys on this fine Monday afternoon, morning, evening, or night, depending on where in this beautiful globe you are. I am going to be working today on a big painting right here for the one, the only, Razorfist. So, for those of you guys who are looking forward to Ghost of the Badlands and are fans of all things Western, you're going to enjoy some of the fun we're having on this stream today, because I'm working on this painting right here of the great, masked, terrifying dispenser of justice. That kind of made it sound like it was dispensing hand sanitizer there for a second. And I love working on this kind of thing. It's wild. If there's one thing I'll say about this crazy, cool, awesome, independent space we're in, is you get to meet a lot of like-minded kindred spirits, and cool things can happen. And that's the joy of it. You know, that's the joy of working where we are, doing Westerns and all that kind of stuff. So let's see who we've got here in the chat today. Let's see what channel members we've got. Let's see what other folks we've got in here. First and foremost, we have the first channel member, the Alpha, the Omega, the main man, the can of spam. It's all about money. Stephen Rockwood drawing 571 backers and climbing. This is awesome, awesome, awesome. I'll see what I can do for you today, Stephen Rockwood. I will see what I can do. We have got Daniel's Den in the house. Good to see you, Daniel's Den. We have got another channel member, Hostman Socrates. It is a pleasure to have you here, my friend. You Crypt Walker, you stud, you. It is great to see you. And yes, indeed, I'm so excited about this book. I'm telling you right now. It's awesome. What is up, Simply Green? It is great to see you. Good morning. And let's see. We've got channel member General Piggy. Hail, my friends, he says. I say hail to you, channel member General Piggy. It is great to have you in the house. Let's see what we've got here. We've got channel member Michael Bancroft, my man down under. It is good to see you. You are the man. Another person I'm going to be doing some killer artwork for, enjoying his cup of coffee, Michael Bancroft. It is great to see you, brother. Always a pleasure. Let me see what else I've got going on. Let's see. We got Metal, Movies, and Brewskis in the house. Ale to you, my friend. It is great to see you, brother. Let's see. We've got Lord Ra in the house. Good to see you, Lord Ra. Hope you're doing well. Evening. Let's see. Who else we got here? We've got Anthony Gonzalez-Clark. It is great to see you, Anthony Gonzalez-Clark. I hope you are doing well, my friend. Let me see. We have got Skunk Artworks in the house. It is great to see you, Skunk. Great artwork. Great to see you, man. We have got NTS Neon Todd Studios saying hello. I say hello to you, Neon Todd Studios. How's my volume? Is it too loud, too quiet? I don't know anymore. You guys tell me to adjust the gain, and I don't even know what that means, but I will do my best to keep myself adjusted. We've got Mrs. Good Stuff with a serious X-ray in the house. It is great to see you. I doff my cap to you, my lady. I tip my cap to you, my lady. Yeah, this book is going to be awesome. I am really excited about it. I know Razorfist knows his stuff. It's a bit quiet. Dadgum. I have got to figure out what I am doing wrong, which is probably many things, but let me just see this real quick. System preferences, sound. Let's see, input. Let's see if we can crank that up a little bit. Is that any better? Does that do anything, folks? Let me know in the chat if that did anything, and then we'll go from there. How's that? Is that better? Is that any louder? Let me know, guys. It's like, again, it's like walking a grandparent through emails. You know, that's kind of what it is. Mike likes tacos. You're always welcome here, my friend, and it's great to see you. Taco Tuesday on Monday. That's right. That's right. Better. All right. Good. So hopefully we're getting there. Let me see here. Let's see what we're doing here. So for those of you guys who don't know, and you haven't seen this comic book campaign, which sadly is closed, and I'm sure he's gonna, do another launch of it. It is a very, very cool take on the Western and all of Razorfist's favorite Westerns. It looks like it's going to be just a real knockout of a book. And if you ordered you backed at the hardcover level, that means that you're going to get additional gallery pages and other stuff like that, which are going to be by various artists. And Razorfist and I have been talking for a little bit, and he asked me if I wanted to have my stuff in there, and I was like, of course, man, who would not? It would be awesome. So that's what we're doing. That's what we're working on. So I've been looking at a lot of different Artwork, Western artwork. I've been looking at Frederick Remington. I've been looking at movie poster artwork, like the artwork for Pale Rider, and also several paintings that Razorfist referenced, like the conversion of St. Paul, and just kind of trying to put that stuff together in something that is going to feel dynamic, so that if this, I like to paint things and make things so that they can create, they can be iconic images that work as trading cards, full-scale posters, covers. I try to make these things, design them in such a way to where they have the maximum amount of usefulness to the person who is commissioning the artwork. So that's how it works. What's up, John? It is great to see you. And what's up, Quick Draw McGraw? I cracked up when I saw that, and I updated the credits to say Quick Draw McGraw. So we're in the house. American Comics Company is here. You're always in good company when American Comics Company's in the house, because that, my friends, is how we roll. So I did a couple of passes on this. If for any of you guys who saw the initial sketch of this, it would have definitely been an opportunity for doing some nice drawing, some nice rendering, but I didn't feel like the composition was very strong. And I kind of was going back and forth on it, thinking, like, what do I do? Do I want to rework the composition? And finally I got to the point where I was like, yeah, I have to go for it, because I want something epic. I want to have the redemption aspect to it, which is this figure right here, righty, pictured here in the image. And so that's what it came down to, Channel member Sumo Thori in the house. It is great to see you, Sumo Thori. And Jordan Horst is here. Great to see both of you guys. I hope you're having a great day. If you haven't yet, smash that like. Let the algorithm know what's up. It's a ridiculous thing, but I'm always going to say it. I'm always going to say it until I don't. That's the one thing you can count on. So when I'm working on something like this, it's always a nightmare in terms of planning my lamp so that it doesn't cause that annoying ripple effect. But when I'm working on something like this, a lot of it has to do with not only the composition, but just the kind of the flow of the imagery. And I want something that is iconic. And it was funny when I was deciding about whether or not I was going to upgrade the sketch or update the sketch with a new version of the composition, because I was like, I don't know if this works. It suddenly dawned on me that this is my very first Western illustration that I've done. Because I've done Western paintings. I've painted Woody Strode. I've painted a painting inspired by Open Range. So I've definitely done some paintings of that sort, but I have not yet ever done an according to Hoyle sort of pulp illustration of this kind of stuff. And it dawned on me. I was like, holy cow, man. It's like, this is awesome. This is exciting. And so then that kind of made the decision all the easier, because I thought, well, yeah, of course I want to, make sure that I update the sketch, because I'm going to be working on this painting and putting a lot of energy into it. And I know you guys probably know what I'm talking about, but, anything worth doing is worth doing well and worth doing right. And when people commission me to do something, I always am going to treat it like it's, that it's important. It's important. How many paintings do we have left in us? We don't know. So we want to make sure that we're always doing it, the best that we possibly can. Oh my gosh, Sumo Thori, you maniac. Sumo Thori just gifted 5 memberships to the channel. My gosh, man. Some people haven't even had their breakfast yet, and Sumo Thori is just dropping new members. My God, my friend. I gotta send a cheerleader your way. You legend. Charge! Goodness gracious, man. Some of you guys just kind of come in here, and I don't know what to expect. God bless you. And we've got some new channel members because of the wonderful, generous, and awesome Sumo Thori. Hail to you, brother. You are a legend. A legend. Look at that, guys. Yeah, we got to get those cheerleaders in here for you guys. So if you are not yet a channel member, man, jump on that. Courtesy of Sumo Thori. Much respect, Sumo Thori, man. And we have got Creative Faye in the house, it says. So let me just see where we are here. How did I miss that? I'm missing people left and right. There we go. Wow, Sumo. Yeah, I know. Tammy A, it's going nuts in here. It's going nuts. And so, when I'm sitting here and I'm thinking about this kind of stuff, it also has dawned on me a lot that I was watching a video on this incredible pinup artist, pulp artist, cover artist named, oh God, I can't believe I just blanked out his name. His first name. Robert McGinnis. And I was watching this video that shows, he passed away, I think, not long ago, or maybe he's still with us, I don't know. But Robert McGinnis had a video that showed his painting process. And I was thinking about how, when it comes to a lot of the work that I'm doing, there aren't, because so many people are working in digital, when I paint people's characters, it might be one of the few or limited amount of actual physical original artwork that's being made for the campaigns. And it blows my mind, to think about that, because I'm going to be honest with you guys, I never thought for a minute that I would be painting or doing painted illustrations when I was in school, when I was a wee lad. I never thought that was going to happen, because I was so nervous about painting and color theory. And now that I've gotten more comfortable with it over time, it's like second nature. But this whole thing is very surreal. I mean, the Nosfero is with the great, amazing, incredible Eric Weathers right now, who is doing the lettering on it. And, just that, I've been kind of taking that in for the last, couple of days or so, of just that massive amount of painted work of doing a fully painted comic book is sort of in the somewhat rear view mirror. And it's crazy, guys. It's wild. But I'm really glad that I get to share this process with you, because like a lot of artists who work in traditional, our big hope is that we're going to pass along some of this stuff and make people maybe feel as though, hey, this is possible. I could do this. I could give this a try. It's not impossible. And I think that's what Bob Ross did. I think that's what a lot of artists who worked in traditional have done, historically, is they've made it feel more accessible. Oh, sorry, yeah, no, I remember. I know it's you now. Let's see. I missed that we're working on today. I'm late. Oh my gosh. Sorry. It's a piece it's a commission for Razorfist for his book Ghost of the Badlands. So yeah, so that's what we're working on, And quick draw. Feel better. My God, I had no idea. You gotta take care of yourself. If we don't have you in the chat, I don't know what the heck we're gonna even do here. So yeah, so I've just been working incredibly hard on this stuff, and it's been great, and then trying to solve some technical issues. I'm having some issues with my headphones. I have these JBL headphones, and one of them is not charging right now, which is a little frustrating. So I've got one headphone in, and but I'm sure, hopefully they haven't given up the ghost. Maybe it's something I just need to sort with the charger. But yeah. And so on this painting right here, one of the things that's been kind of cool is I'm using two colors on it that I have, but I don't typically use when I'm painting Nosfero. And it's a red oxide and a yellow oxide. And they're basically two very earthy colors, because I wanted to give at least this basic, start of the painting. I wanted to give it those kind of earthy tones that make you think of the Old West and, the yellowed paper and all of that kind of stuff that you see when you think of it, without it being too hokey, And so I'm kind of try to play that up. I know Drew Struzan used that effect, the kind of earth toned surface, and give it that sort of textured quality. But what I'm trying to do is going to be a little bit more modern, a little bit more today. Oh my gosh. Not my fault in September. Oh my goodness, we'll feel better, for heaven's sake, quick draw. What is up, Phil? Another big fan of Razorfist, of course, in the house. I hate that light effect here. Let's see if I can mess with it a little bit here and get that to be a little better. Oh, there we go. That's a little better. Not great, but you see here. And there we are. But it's the kind of thing to where I was laughing. Yeah, I know. Oh, yeah, that's right. Double Impact was crazy last week. We had so much fun. We were just dying. But I was laughing because, illustrators have a very difficult relationship with illustrating and painting horses, right? And so, it was one of those things that you kind of have to laugh at. And so, obviously, there's no way to avoid painting or drawing horses in a piece like this. So, we're just going to have to go full tilt. We're just going to have to go full tilt and make it happen. And but that's what we do here. That's what we do. So, but yeah, I'm really excited about this piece. And I think that was a thing about the first composition that was that I wasn't wild about when I first did it, which was let's see here, make sure this is right here, is that there wasn't that kind of little sort of hint of sexiness that you need, because it's such a bleak sort of scene. And so I basically started looking at Alphonse Mucha's, the Slav epic, which kind of shows, a much more graceful sort of poetic, interpretation of various, classical, subjects or modern subjects of destruction and that kind of thing. And so I used that as kind of a reference for how I was going to approach it. And that allowed me to have this sort of female figure draped across the rocks here and give it that kind of energy. Great to see you, John. Always, always. Let me see here. Let's see. Hi, John. My son and daughter-in-law are sick too. Oh no, worse than you. I'm sorry to hear that. Jeez, Tammy. Same thing in gaming. Early pixel art horse animation scored someone a job on Defender of the Crown. Yeah, I mean, seriously, it's there's this funny kind of aspect to it, right? Who have we got, who can paint or illustrate horses? Who have we got who can paint or illustrate this particular thing? I was listening to, because I'm a member over on his channel, I was listening to Eric July talking about like how he's like, I don't need pinup artists. Where are all the sequential artists? That has been true in comics for as long as I can remember. Sequentials are the thing. And I used to say to my students when I was teaching, about, doing concept art, production art, that kind of thing, I would say, everybody always is doing characters, but look at how many backgrounds and assets you see in games. That's the stuff you got to learn how to design. That's the stuff that they need, that you've got to learn how to make. And that's what everybody's looking for. And so it's a fascinating thing. Sequential storytelling, backgrounds. You want to be able to paint and draw anything you can come up with, and so that it doesn't limit your storytelling ability. That's really what it comes down to. Although I will say I draw a lot of my stuff and illustrate a lot of my stuff in the past, because the idea of painting windows and cars is not something I'm into. Let's see here. It's been a sort of standard for quadruped animation. The game, yes, absolutely, Defender of the Crown. There you go. That's cool looking, Sean. Man, I wish I had your talent. Oh, thank you, Tammy. The thing about it is that it's just you know how it goes. It's like you're chasing interests, and I was interested in it, and yes, definitely, thank God, there's some God-given talent there, but it's just the work stuff. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Tammy. My goodness. And it's all about the grind. It's all about putting that stuff together, and you learn. The cool thing about getting older is, there's always this opportunity to learn more as time goes on. And when you stop learning, it's like, and you exhaust all of your, your forward momentum to kind of, try to do new things. I think that's when you start to kind of get burnt out. And I think that, when it comes to drawing and painting and all of that stuff, for me, I'm always excited to learn new things from other people who are doing the stuff themselves. And I'm always excited to learn about things that I don't really have a lot of knowledge or expertise on, just for fun, just for recreation. I think that's the stuff that kind of feeds my mind, that and laughter, that and comedy, of course. That's a big one, man. That'll keep you going. Let's see here. There's an interesting relationship between reality and exaggeration. Exaggerated animation often looks better, but it's easy to cross that uncanny valley. Yep. Away from realistic. Yeah. It is. Everything that we do is a tightrope walk with this stuff, because, you're right. There's this aspect of believability and poetry that I would say, just from my experience working on Nosfero and writing a comic book, the most difficult thing in the world is to put yourself out there and wear your heart on your sleeve, because it's all, you can go back and look at any comic book and it's all completely silly until it works. And you have no idea what's going to work and what you're going to do. And we talk a lot about the kind of epidemic of self-censorship based on the weird space that we've been in for the last decade or so. But I think that it's orders of magnitude more prevalent with artists, because the process of critique, which I worked in for decades, is a valuable process, and it's an important process. But much like medicine, as some folks in the chat may very well know, the Hippocratic Oath is an important aspect too, which is first do no harm. So sometimes you got to think about things like not throwing the baby out with the bathwater, or I forget who the person was who said it that Joseph Campbell was quoting, but be careful when casting out your demons. You don't cast out that which is best in yourself. And those are the tricks, man. Those are the tricks of what we do as artists. And I think that as an artist, you almost have to put a certain amount of I don't want to say self-doubt, because I don't think that's what it is. I think it's much more specific. You kind of have to give yourself permission to be silly and to play. I think that's the biggest thing, man. Let's see here. No, the hardest thing is getting past that last roll at the all-you-can-eat sushi, so you don't get charged. You're absolutely right. Mike likes tacos. You always bring it back to where it needs to be, and I respect you for it. Shanth, has Razorfist explained the double cross origin? He did a video on it. And it's used, the way that it's used in this story, which I thought was very cool, is much like the Shadow has, the ring Friends of the Shadow get. This character has the double cross, the double crucifix. And so he gives that out to people that become his missionaries, which are kind of like his agents. And so that's why this particular figure here in this painting got added, and I felt was essential. It was one of his missionaries who goes by Righty, because he has lost was his old nickname according to the video about the book, but he lost his right arm, so it's now kind of more ironic. And so that's Righty, who he meets at this particular rescue sequence where he's dispensing his justice, and he gives him an opportunity to redeem himself, and makes that offer to him. And so to me, this painting would not have been the same, and would not have been right without that element in it. And I didn't have that in the original sketch, and I was like, I need to have that. I need to have that element of this piece in there, so that, because it's such a big part of the story. It's you can't paint everything. You don't want it to be a very crowded image, which is, you can tend to that with composition somewhat, but you don't want it to be something that is overwrought and overworked. So you kind of always have to balance that out. But to me, that was just too important of an aspect of this character. So I tried to play that in with the wheels, the Wheel of Fate, and all of that kind of thing, because I think that stuff is important, and I think that stuff it makes for more drama, and it makes for more a piece that is going to stand the test of time and have that staying power, and is built to last. And so that's where I'm always kind of that's where I'm drawn. It's easy for me when I'm commissioned to do work on other people's stuff to get lost in the world that they've got, and to get excited about it. I think it's one of the easiest things about being an illustrator, and one of the most rewarding and the most fun things about being an illustrator is just, spending some time in, the world, and kind of having a visual conversation with fellow creators, and saying kind of like, okay, this is my take. I mean, I know a lot of people have spoken about that, how cool it is to see another artist's take on your world and the stuff that you're building. And I think it's great. It's a pleasure to be invited to do more and more of this kind of work, but especially because of there's more to it now to me than just doing freelance, video game concept art or things like that, which is it's all great. I mean, I enjoy that stuff. It certainly pays very well, but the thing about this is you're really being a part of building something and shaping where things are going. That's right. I'm taking care of you, Stephen Rockwood. It's happening, man. It's happening. Yeah, you guys know what I mean. It's busy artwork because it just overstimulates your mind, and it's the opposite of an aesthetic experience. What sort of things can you look for to tell something is AI generated? That really depends. It really depends. On the horizon, quick draw fingers often. Gen 6, though that's getting fixed quickly. Yeah, you know. You're killing me. Yes, indeed. That is always on this stream, man. That's always on this stream. But yeah, man, it's like I spend so little time thinking about that whole AI generated artwork thing because it's not, we are such weird creatures, human beings. We can tolerate a lot. We can tolerate a lot, which is to say we can have an almost entertaining experience and kind of say to ourselves, well, that was entertaining. But when you see something that is truly entertaining, you immediately go, oh yeah, that wasn't entertainment. And that's where we are right now. You know what? You guys have not yet here, but give it time. It's gonna happen. And so I don't really have an issue with it because the problem, or how do I put this? I have an issue with the intellectual property theft aspect of it. Yes. The thing that I think that people are not realizing is if the people who do artwork that resonates with people couldn't tell you what it is about their artwork that makes it great, how the heck would you program for that? You can't. So to me, doing this kind of stuff, when somebody goes, okay, here's a great example. When I was working on this piece, and this is going to sound so obnoxious, but, it is what it is. When I did the first sketch, I was like, just doesn't feel like a Shanth painting. What the hell does that even mean? What the hell does that even mean? I know what it means, but I don't know how to describe it. It's just you look at it and go, this isn't it. So you know it when it isn't it. How would anyone program that? You know what I mean? How would anyone I don't understand it. And even if an algorithm were to look at everything that I've ever painted, they're not going to come up with this because simply because I couldn't come up with this previously, if that makes sense. It's very weird. Yeah, it's crazy. And Simply Green, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, this is the crazy thing. Like we spend so much time trying to figure ourselves out there, and not enough time having the kind of, well, you guys are experience it here. I think that's why streams are what they are and why people show up and why they've become what they've become. We spend so much time having abstracted conversations, whether they're on Twitter, whether they're on, with strangers, or, arguments in message forums and all of that kind of stuff. But those real conversations that you have face to face with the people who are close to you, people that you've never seen me stream with, they're people in my life, right? Those are the things that you can't explain. Those are the things that enrich your life in a way you can't explain. So take a painting like this. So some of you guys backed CG Vacation by the wonderful, wonderful Zaid Comics and my brother Phil. And you got that book. But somebody bought that original and they have that in their house. That is a very different experience than looking at it online, which is a very different experience than getting your hardcover copy of that book, which I have mine over there, versus getting a box sent to you by the artist and having the original artwork. Like, it's so different. That's why I like to go to illustration museums when they show great illustrators' work. I've seen the painting in books 1,000 times. It's not the same thing. It's the same thing as seeing a friend you haven't seen in ages, but you've talked on the phone, and giving them a hug. Sorry to be so, but I'm a dad. That's what it is, and it's like hugging your kids versus talking to them on the phone is a different thing. Let's see here. And it definitely can't recreate my line art. Yeah, I mean, that's what it is, man. I tried Photoshop generative fill function this weekend. It's quite good at recreating natural things like trees, grass, etc. It's very bad at recreating structures like buildings. Amen, right? Amen. Yeah, hello, Mighty Geek Studios, says John. At the moment, it would take longer for me to define a game to an AI than to code it myself. There you go. And I've talked to a lot of people in coding talking about how it helps in some ways, maybe not in others. You know, Phil in the house, he knows what I'm talking about. I've recently got in touch via mobile with Heidi Booth. She's been having a rough go over the weekend. I told her JG brought us together, the JG friend connection. You're absolutely right. And guys, don't ever think that don't ever think that human connection isn't paramount in what we're doing. When people, gift memberships, which, by the way, thank you so much again for that. But when people gift memberships and when people come together, I know full well that, and like I said, I'm doing as much as I can and still getting everything I can get done, family, all that stuff, but also, with Nosfero and things like that. I know you guys know. I know I'm not telling you something new. But the thing about it is I am very well aware that an Instagram post or a Twitter post is not the same thing as a stream. It's not the same thing as these kinds of online get-togethers, which isn't the same thing as meetups. Like, when you think about it, the reason why the meetup exists is because people want to make that connection. I just don't know that there's anything that compares to it, man. Shanth, can you let JG, Jericho Green, know how to gift memberships? Yeah, I'll talk to him because we've actually got some fun stuff planned. He wants me to work on a commercial thing for him, so I'm going to be doing that. But yeah, absolutely. Yeah, man. I mean, those connections are everything, especially with these creator-driven projects. More time spent drawing main characters, key backgrounds, writing stories. Oh my gosh, you're so right. Printers, color correcting things, InDesign files. There's so many moving parts to this stuff. And it's great. It's wonderful that there are so many moving parts to this stuff. So when you see creators who are working in this space, we're a different breed. We really are a different breed. Because we're having to, we're not storming Normandy Beach and we're not crossing the Nifu Desert, for heaven's sake. But when you see us in this space, we're definitely doing, more than what comic book artists have done in terms of the promotional aspect of this, but also just the putting ourselves out there. And I get that not everybody is comfortable doing it. Not everybody's good at it. It's streaming into the void can be tough sometimes. One thing I did notice about the Photoshop AI thing is it's very good at removing entire people from photographs, just like Stalin. Yeah, I don't doubt it, man. I don't doubt it. And, those connections are big. And comics for me were that. You go to the comic book shop, at least for me, when I was a kid, I'd go to the comic book shop, and God bless Wade, my local comic shop owner. But the thing about it was, he would always talk about stuff with me and comics and artists and things I should look at, things I should check out. And it's funny, too, because not only is that going to get more sales, when you talk to people, but it also just builds a connection. You think twice about buying your comics somewhere else when you have a connection with your local comic book shop. And I always said that there was this weird time, for me at least, with comic shops, that maybe it started in the 2000s, where I would go into comic shops to shop, at least the ones up here and some of the ones I was around. And the comic shop owner would either be talking to someone else who worked there or just talking, on the phone or something like that. And I was like going, hello, I'm here. Like, I was trying to ask questions, and I thought, gosh, I don't know if I want to buy here, man. It's crazy, but that's how it works. Quick Draw McGraw, once your family is all healed up, perhaps it's time for Heidi to come visit you. Amen. There you go. Gotta go, everybody. Have a great day. You too, Stephen Rockwood. Thank you so much for being here, brother. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. So, yeah, I mean, it's nice because I would never have, if I had not met, if he wasn't streaming, which is hard to imagine, but I would have never met, half the people I know now, frankly, I know from YouTube. Everybody in CG I know from YouTube. That's how I got to know them, ish. It's like then you get to know them further when you do work with them or you email and back and forth and things like that. But so many of these things have come from streaming and come from YouTube. But then it's a whole nother kettle of fish when it kind of crosses over into your real life and you start doing work for people. It's fun. It's a great way to create. And at the end of the day, I mean, I'm getting to share with. I know Jericho hates that because I use "at the end of the day" so often. Oh my Lord, at the end of the day. And now that he said that, now it's going to be stuck in my head. So it's going to be what it is. But for me, when I'm doing this stuff, the thing I think about is, that this is what I've been doing since I was a kid. I've just been drawing since I was a kid, and that's always going to be the focus. Whatever else craziness is going on in the world, I find that whether it's cleaning the house, cleaning the office, doing dishes, or painting, most important thing you can do for your sanity is just go do something that's physical. Sit back, chill, listen to something that calls upon the better nature, angels of your nature, or just stop thinking, start doing things. It's good for you. I think that's why Jordan Peterson was all about the clean your room thing. Get yourself moving. Do something that gives you a sense of control. Do something that gives you a sense of that empowers you in a real way to change your environment and change where you're at. There we go. Yeah, this is going to be a fun one. I will tell you this. I have been having so much fun working on this because I love the work. I love the writer. I love what Razorfist does. I love his commentary. But it's a real blessing to be able to connect with creators. It's the same thing when I was working on the Cyberfrog piece, to be honest. Art and Times of Jay Ryan, it is great to see you, my friend. I hope you are doing well. Let's see who else we've got here. Okay, Hostman Socrates says, Shantha Jetty art AI will become like digital art in the early 2000s. It'll replace CGI just as CGI replaced 2D animation. Yeah, very, very possible. It is great to see you, my friend. Let me see, make sure I caught up with everybody else. Good. Yeah, agreed. And that's the other thing about it, right? Is that you really have to... yeah, absolutely. Amen, Tammy. I'm the same way. Yeah, I did that too, right? Absolutely right. This is the thing about it too. Sometimes that is... How do I put it? There's two aspects to things, and you're so right, Tammy, as far as changing things, which is there's changing your location, making a massive change in your life, and there's taking what's going on in your life, and there's fixing things that need to be addressed. And sometimes I find that it's like that. The perfect example is this composition. I could have noodled around on that first composition a bunch, but I would not have gotten the chance to do this particular portrait. Let me see if I can get it a little closer so that it auto-adjusts. I wouldn't have been able to do this particular portrait right there if I hadn't... see if I move it over here. There we go. If I hadn't have turned the composition and had him looking straight on, I wouldn't have had this moment of him holding out that double crucifix and then having this character that's right down there, having him reaching for it. All of that stuff came out of that, all right, I can alter this composition as much as I want. It's not going to be the composition it needs to be. Now I've got to do it. Now I've got to make it happen. Do you guys know what I'm saying? And that's, sometimes it's hard to make that call. And that's when you kind of, the more we get experience, the more we kind of figure out how we're going to make that call. And then there's other aspects of it that, that's why you have, your mates. That's why you got your friends around you. That's why you got your partners, your spouses, your close friends that you go and you can get feedback from. Because not all feedback and not all expertise is equally expertise-y, as the great Rick Green once said. And sometimes you have to... There's a lot of advice that's canned advice out there. And I used to say that was the biggest thing for me when I was teaching at art school that I couldn't stand. There was so much canned advice given out about how to be a successful illustrator by faculty that there were certain things I started poking fun at. Just things that people would say where I'd go, is that really true? My favorite bit of terrible canned advice, Antoine Dennison, it is great to see you, my friend. Just added your name to the credits just right before I started streaming. But there's this one bit of canned advice that drives me absolutely crazy because we all know it's true. It's not true if you think about it for more than 1 second, which is the world is filled with people who have technical ability. What's missing are people with ideas. Not true. The world is filled with people with ideas, good, bad, or different. What is missing in the world is people who can actually make the stuff. And so it'd be like saying there's all of these people in the world who are plumbers and have amazing skill as plumbers. But there aren't any people who have an idea of, or there aren't any people who have plumbing problems that need fixing. What? Yeah, tell that to my plumber, for God's sake. The world is filled with people who've got things they need fixing. That's the actual issue. And so I always think that, the craziest thing about social media is it's shown us an abundance of folks who are, we all have the ability to speak on social media. It is a very, very, very difficult medium, or I should say mechanism for listening. And if there's one thing that I think there's different categories of things that people are drawn to on social media at the moment. One is just introspective, calm, enriching conversation and laughter. But the thing that I think is I think a very real deficit people have in their lives are people or someone or a place where people are actually listening to you. Do you know what I mean? Not where you're shouting into the void and then people are giving you likes or saying I'm so sorry or this kind of thing, but where you really are interacting with a human being one-to-one. And I think that's just an important thing. Whenever I hear somebody talking about their plumbing, I always think of, yeah, that's right. There you go. It's so true, man. Yeah, John comes from a long line of Johns. Absolutely right, man. That's how it is, man. That's how it is. Everybody's saying hello to Antoine Dennison. And so it's interesting because I don't know what that is. You know what I mean? I don't know what that is that makes people be able to convey that. But I know that for me, that's always been something that I've been about. You know, it's weird. Like the people who know me and the people who are close to me always know that I can listen. You know, they always know that they can talk to me and I'm there. You know, and it's being fully present and all that stuff. And I try to, I mean, maybe it's an Achilles heel, I don't know. But whenever I stream, I try to be fully present with you guys, you know, and it's maybe that's an unrealistic bar to sort of have, but it's something that I just enjoy. Do you know what I mean? And I'm trying to be present with the artwork and have those conversations. That's so important, man. You know, yeah, just getting out Michael Bancroft. I know, man. It's crazy that we're global, isn't it? It's crazy, you know. Hail at American Comics Company. And you know, it's funny. I had speaking of great conversations. All right, we'll see you in a sec. Quick drama girl. Being right back. This is the thing. I had a conversation about the Lucent with Michael Bancroft in prepping for the painting that I'm doing for the Lucent. And it was just a great conversation. We did not talk about we were laughing, we were talking about stuff, but it was just, you guys got to understand, right? We can't give out a lot of spoilers when we're doing this stuff. It's so frustrating. John, I love that quote. That's a great quote. The sun never sets on Comicsgate. Amen. I love that, man. That's beautiful. But you want to be able to talk to other creators and have them hear your story and be able to talk about it with people. It's so important, you know. It's like the bullpen, you know, but it's like anything. Artists need to get together and talk about their ideas, whether it's the C.S. Lewis, Tolkien, and the Inklings and stuff like that. But I think that's why independent creators, it's important for us to connect, not during live streams alone. Because live streams are great, but, you know, it's like I don't live stream my conversation with my wife and kids, you know what I mean, or my best friend. You know, I don't do that stuff. It's because nobody can really do that. One, that'd be very strange, but you know, you can't really do that kind of stuff. You can't have the levels of conversation, the depth that you can have of things, because, you know, especially if it's a story that you're kind of keeping under wraps. So I actually really love that. I actually really love that kind of thing. I love working, and I love just checking my phone there for a second. Black, I mean back, yeah. Nice. I'm really excited for you. I feel like your star is on the rise at Michael Bancroft. Agreed. Yeah, that campaign I'm looking forward to it so much. So much, man. It's and really, I mean, it's a crazy thing because I remember being there during the time of the Image Comics launch and all that stuff. I know a lot of people have great memories of it, and I do. I have a lot of great memories of it. But to be perfectly honest, for me, it also had its things to where it was a lot of sound and fury, but when you think about where the industry went afterwards, the crash and all of that stuff, it felt like it was kind of, built on a foundation of sand. It wasn't the most sort of stable thing. And when I think about some of the 90s creations, regardless of what people think about them, I think of things like Sin City, I think of things like Hellboy, I think of comics like Jeff Smith's Bone. I think there were so many interesting things going on that did sustain, but there's also been other independent movements like the 80s and the black and white boom with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and things like that. So I always try to keep just independence in general in mind. That's the thing I'm always thinking about, is just keeping things in the broader terms of independence, because we don't know. I mean, like, the Image Comics thing was great, but it was a very narrow, like, they want to do superhero comics. At a certain point they stopped having comics come in that were under a certain amount of sales. They wanted everything to be mainstream and all that other stuff, and which is all fine and good. But something like The Walking Dead which is massive, came out of a completely different time, in Image. So that's what's crazy. Yeah, man. Keep those fingers crossed, and we'll make that happen. We'll get it going on. Quick drop across CB4. Is that you? There you go. It's great stuff, man. Said it on Bancroft's stream. A lot of disillusioned people floating, looking for a new market. You know what's so funny? You're right, and I think that I know, because I'm one of them. People are looking for. There's always a huge market for independent entertainment, right? And by that I mean, what's a tiny percentage of America? If we had if every creator in this space had a tiny percentage of Americans who bought their stuff, they would be filthy rich. It's crazy, man. Thank you, Dale A. I appreciate that. I will not decide whether I'm good at drawing horses until John Malin says they're okay. John Malin is going to do a Chance Horses stream. It'll happen, But yeah, I mean, people are starved for it, man. They're starved for independence. They're starved for independence. I mean, I've been backing independent creators, as a matter of course now for a while. Certainly with Comicsgate, that goes back to 2019. But Razorfist's books, which were even before he coined the term Iron Age, that stuff. And I just got in the mail, let me see if I can open this real quick. I've gotten some very cool stuff in the mail. Let me tell you, folks. I've gotten some very cool stuff in the mail, but let me see. Yeah, amen, Simply Green. Because, yeah. Let me see if I've got this here. Ah, sweet. Speaking of, as independent as it comes, I don't care what anybody says, I just got these in the mail. So I just ordered these. There's no Indiegogo, there's no Kickstarter, there's no nothing. There is just his website, and I respect the heck out of that. So I just got the 2 albums that Tom McDonald released, and during his Memorial Day sale, and I got the autographed editions of them. So there you go. There's much like what we do here in this space. You get signed copies of my book when you back it on Indiegogo, and you can get signed albums, which, God bless him, his poor aching hand. He must be in some rough shape. But yeah, I'm all about independent stuff and backing independent stuff and people who hang their chin out. Of the people that I'm looking at right now for inspiration in terms of how they run their business and how they built things, even though they're quite different, Tom McDonald is absolutely up there. Because he does everything in-house. He releases music online, a lot of the stuff you hear that goes viral, but most of his music is not streamable or anywhere. You have to buy the CDs to hear it, and I love that, man. Yeah, me too. Me too. Yeah, he's a dude. He's absolutely a dude, man. Yeah, Michael Bancroft, did you know it's only 21 days until the Lucent Pain of Death? I mean, how could he not, right? My God, that's just like, it's got to be just a constant drum in his mind. Because I know that's how it is with me and Nosfero, man. It's like, I just am like going, oh my gosh, I've got to, this is coming. We live, Shanthan Jetty art is all consuming to me. Like, whatever other stuff is going on, this is where I have to be and where I have to keep myself. I don't have the luxury of getting into other things or other projects unless they're about Shanthan Jetty art. And so even doing this piece for Razorfist, what's really cool about it is, one, I really want to make sure I'm doing more stuff in the independent space to the extent that it's financially doable. I mean, I'm not going to walk away from a video game concept art design job or things like that, but it's this is where I want to focus, and I think it all feeds into building the space and making it stronger, man. That's really what it comes down to. Yeah. I only buy CDs. I love the album art, production, and supporting the bands more directly. I'm the same way with vinyl, man. My wife and I have been listening to records since we were in college 500 years ago. I mean, seriously. It's like 25 years ago. My God, where does the time go? And so we've had this old record player. We really need to get a new one because that thing sounds like it's coming through one of those tin can phone lines. But this is the thing about it, right? Is that I have this Louis Armstrong record that I always listen to, that I've loved, that I got at an antique store because I love Louis Armstrong. Yeah, it's just he's the man for me. I love Lazy River. It's one of my favorite songs of all time. And Bing Crosby. Big Bing Crosby fan. Whenever I hear, when I would hear Ethan and people in CG talking about the Rat Pack and Frank Sinatra, for me, if there's somebody who I admire and I would love to be like, if I could be like somebody else, like Mike, besides like Mike, I would be like Bing Crosby, man. He's the dude. Like when you go into his life and you see all of the stuff that he did for folks, and he was awesome, man. He was an awesome dude. But yeah, I love big vinyl record artwork, and when they do the cool stuff they can do with the vinyl now, I just think it's awesome. It's a work of art. That's right, baby. Yeah. That sounds contradictory. Yeah, that's right. Michael, let me guess, the colors, Lucent and the Middle Eastern clay tan. You gotta love it, man. Gotta love it. Plumbing, censorship, black. Yep, that's right. Let's see here. Antoine Dennison, I'm not certain. I mainly share Facebook when I upload to YouTube. My Facebook is Michael Desjardins. That's right. I'm butchering. I'm sorry. With my avatar image here is the same there. Oh, there you go. $30 for vinyl is just a little too much. Yeah, I think it depends on one's music habits. Wouldn't say I buy everything on vinyl. I do buy a lot of things on CD though, and vinyl, and some things I buy digital, but I will say this, it always ends up with me getting the hard copy of it if I love it. Like if I really like it. If I just listen to it, it's not necessarily going to end up something I own a physical copy of, because that's got to be something extra special. That's got to be something good. Yeah, let's take a look and see what we got going on here, man. Like, I mean, this is going to be sick. Like, this is my Pale Rider, painting right here. I just can't wait, man. It's so fun. Eloise, it's great to see you. How are you doing? I hope you are well. But yeah, I mean, it's how do I put this? I like seeing the way things work, if that makes sense. All right, take care of Quick Draw and feel better. All right. I like the way seeing the way things work. And so for me, when I'm looking at a record player, it blows my mind that it's picking up the sound and playing it. I don't know why. It just does. It's always amazed me to watch that. Records have a far superior sound quality and art presentation. I haven't started buying vinyl yet, but I will. Yeah, and it's like I always say, it's I started out my recent vinyl purchases by getting some of the heavier weight vinyl reissues and remasters of music I grew up loving. There's still some albums that I don't own that I would love to have on vinyl, because they're just very important albums to me. One of my favorite albums ever that I don't own on vinyl is The Verve's Urban Hymns. Love Richard Ashcroft, man. I love Richard Ashcroft. So yeah, Urban Hymns is one of my favorite records of all time. Love that record. Just a beautiful bit. You know, The Drugs Don't Work, great song. Lucky Man is one of my all-time favorite songs. Yeah, Lucky Man's got that line, you know, happiness, more or less, is just a changing me something in my liberty. Liberty. That is not a word that I'm ever going to dislike hearing in a song. You can hear the creaking of the paper and the brush, but you can also hear the creaking of my finger, I think. My hand's falling apart. There we go. But yeah, man, I love Urban Hymns. Like, there's a bunch of different albums I like to have. You know? It's like music can have that impact on you, you know? And I got into music very late. I wasn't one of those people who was listening to a lot of music when I was a kid. I mean, I did, but I listened to kind of what was on the radio. I wasn't really, I'll be honest with you, I didn't see a lot that spoke to me when I was a kid, and maybe it just took time, you know? I love those Molly Hatchet, Frazetta Death Dealer covers and art. Yeah, amen, man. Massive record scene here in Melbourne. We're hipster central down here. Well, hey, listen, if you're there, it's got to be the center for hip people, at the very least. I ended up setting up a rack mount server at home for backups. Yeah, don't mind buying games on Good Old Games because they provide DRM free backup. Yeah, amen. And that's the other thing that's interesting, you know, that you're seeing people want physical games again. That's a really fascinating thing. And I think with Blu-rays and movies, for me, that's an easier sell, because if you've got people who are tampering with and changing movies for, I don't know, censoring art, which is, I don't even know where to go with that, then yeah, the only way that you can have that stuff is to you know, get it on hard copy before they do all that stuff to it. And let's move this right here. And yeah, I mean, to me, I mean, you can tell when you guys see me doing this kind of work how much I love that kind of Art Nouveau smoke. When I first was exposed to Alphonse Mucha's work when I was in college, he's probably my biggest influence as an artist. There's no getting around it. He's got to be. Shanth, check out The Great Awakening at the Highwire at highwire.com, the new documentary about the rise of global Marxism. I will. Will it make my head explode? Mr. Monkey Boy 1969, it's great to see. Good vibes to you as well, man. Yeah, as long as you have files in your possession as basically digital hard copy accounts, it always concerns me. Even Steam could disappear. Yeah, agreed. Yeah, agreed indeed. Yeah, same happens with Game Shot. Super Hot's ending was patched because oh my. Yeah. Well, I mean, seriously, that is about the only thing. When people ask me about various stuff going on, you know, on social media or online, I got to be honest with you guys. There's some stuff that I will check out, like the bigger stuff that we'll check out, but the smaller stuff I tend to miss. But the one subject that I always am comfortable conversing about and talking about is the kind of what sort of got me in a lot of ways into the space more than anything, which was Jordan Peterson talking about the sort of postmodernist neo-Marxism takeover of quote-unquote intellectual thought. And yeah, that stuff is something that I'm very aware of and very well versed in, and it's why I've told people that don't get suckered into the titles of when people start labeling people. Pay attention to the strategies, because you are going to find people who say they're independent and they're in this space who are going to use those tactics, and if you're too married to the title, you're gonna miss it when it comes up on you, man. You're gonna absolutely miss it, and that's the thing about it. You see people who are, it's like, so what are the things that Jordan Peterson was talking about? And here's a big one for me. I will not do compelled speech. Period. I will not do compelled speech. If someone says, hey, tell me whether you're this or whether you're this. And I would say, why? And they go, because you have to do this in order for me to be this. I will not do it. And there's no scenario where someone should ever think that if they can't compel your speech, then you're out. Then get out, because you're in an authoritarian situation. Period. Full tilt. I mean, you could compel me to say, do you love America, and is it your country, and are you faithful to it above all others? Sure. Like, yes, I am. But that's different. That's something I'm ready to do. But if somebody says to me, I don't know, I can't even think of a situation, but like, you're, are you this or are you that? My expectation is, well, what's the question after that? What ownership or what claims on my behavior are you going to make if I agree to this thing you're compelling me to say yes or no to? If I say no, do you have a script for me? And if I say yes, do you have a script for me? I will not have my speech compelled. Period. That is it. Yes, indeed. Viva la liberté. Without a doubt. Michael Bancroft, it wouldn't be anything new to you, but the filmmaker does a fantastic job. Well, that's fantastic. I love that kind of stuff. Juxtaposing events to show just how crazy it all is. Yeah, it's absolutely right. Yep. Fifth Amendment, indeed. Fifth Amendment is the most important amendment. The most important amendment. Straight up. That's how it's got to be. Cranberry Langers, it is great to see you, channel member Cranberry Langers. Much love. Yeah. Comicsgate meetup test. Can you say hi, Comicsgate? My answer to that would be, I can. Yeah, but you see, it's the funniest thing, right? I used to listen to, you know what scares me about that so much, though, right? It's gotta be harder for me, okay? This is the way I look at everything. It's gotta be harder than just saying it. Do you get what I mean? Like, there's certain people where if they were to ask me that question, I would be offended by the question. Because I would go, like, you either know or you don't know that by now. It's not like I'm new on the scene or something like that. Do you know what I mean? I'm at the age now, I often tell my wife, it's like when you start staring down, a couple of years out from 50, you're at the age where you're not going to play those little childish games. Do you know what I mean? It's like, the DEI stuff, all of that stuff is crap. I hate it. It's all compelled speech. Yeah, that's compelled speech on these parts. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, are you in or are you out? Are you with us or are you against us? You know what I mean? It's crazy. I have no idea. Oh, I think I know what you mean. Sometimes I can't tell what you guys are talking about. It's like crazy. But it's like, yeah, I've already had many of those moments, and to me, if it depends on when the person is asking me, and if it's in a performative space, because I find there's a lot of people who are very comfortable saying and doing things in a performative space, and that's not my thing. It's like, what's the word, we talked about this a lot, so let's talk about some of the structural things while I paint. Thank you guys for being here. If you're here and you haven't hit the like yet, please do. Let's mess with the algorithm. Let's let it know what's up. But performative compelled speech was the breeding ground for this cultural Marxism, right? Are you an anti-racist? Yes, I'm an anti-racist. Do you have this book? Yes, I have this book. Do you guys get what I'm talking about? That was how it is, right? So I don't ever want it to be like, I don't ever want it to be, but if somebody tells me they've done X, this, and this, but there are things that anybody could do, so that makes me this thing. Like, I'm not here for anybody to pass a purity test, but I just look at how people behave. I don't really pay a lot of attention to what they say. You know what I mean? And I think that's just a better way to go about things. There's so many people who will tell you, they do all of the performative things, but they don't actually do the work. Like, do the dang work. That's what it comes down to. You know what I mean? And like I said, if people should know better at a certain point, and so that's where I get irritated, is if it's like, and has nothing to do with even this space, but it's kind of like, I work 24 hours a day trying to make this stuff. I know what I'm doing. I actually, just so you guys have some context, because I know everything gets defined to be, whether it's, whether you're in here because of the, the Iron Age space or the Comicsgate space or whatever else, right? it's hard for people to understand that, and oftentimes, because I don't talk about it that much, that I spent 18 years in academia as a teacher, okay? And in my final years at one of the institutions, this quite prestigious institution, I actually had this conniving department chair, she's just a real piece of work, say that some woke students had complained that I was equating, the kind of appropriation stuff and racial ownership with alt-right, their words, not mine, mentality, whatever the hell that means. And I said to her, when she called me up, so I was basically accused of having alt-right sympathies, whatever the hell that means. I said, is your definition, I don't know what the definition is, nobody knows, they keep it opaque, but is your definition of that, any element of that, white nationalism? And she said yes, and I go, can you think of a reason why this is an incredibly offensive question to be asking me? Like, what is broken inside of you that you think you have to ask that? And the worst thing you can do in those situations is let somebody dictate to you. There's a difference between standing up, like, when you're around a bunch of people who all think a thing, it's easy to say, I'm that thing too. I'm, Spartacus after the first guy says it. Actually, that's actually a worse thing, because you're going to get yourself killed if you say that. And that's what I'm talking about. So I like to say things when they're not convenient, and I'd like to avoid saying them when they're painfully convenient. Because I think that anyone who hasn't taken the time to get to know you and where you stand, you got to work up for questions like that. Do some research, do some homework. I was incredibly offended by that question. I can't even tell you, man. Yeah, I was so offended when that person asked me that, Yeah, without critical thinking skills, people have a hard time seeing beyond the script. Yeah. Human rights are for people who recognize you as human first. Amen to that. Because it's not exactly right. It's not about that. It's about Marxist domination, mob mentality. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Mary stole spot. Let's see here. Yes, indeed. Yeah, it's so bizarre. All that stuff is so bizarre. So the example I would give is that when I was launching my first 2 art books, and this was a Shant thing. This wasn't a Comicsgate thing. This wasn't a CG thing. Actually, this was a Shant thing. This was a free speech thing. This was a mail-in thing. When I launched my first 2 art books, I was not benefiting from the Comicsgate space or any real networking other than what I built myself on Instagram and with my fan base. That was it. And I made the decision to launch my book on Indiegogo because I did not like the way that John was treated. I don't know how many sales it cost me, but everybody was like, why aren't you doing it on Kickstarter? It was the biggest platform at the time. So think about what's involved in launching your first book, on your first two art books on Indiegogo, because you believe in the principles of something without gaining the benefits financially of the network doing it, because those were my principles. I wasn't doing them because I'm going to launch on Indiegogo and I'm going to show everybody that I'm this. Nope. I launched on Indiegogo because I said, this is wrong. And I think I let 1 or 2 people know, just as a solidarity thing, that that's why I was doing it. But that's just who I was. That's who I am to this day. Do you know what I mean? It's crazy. Yeah. That, without a doubt, right? Yeah, they win. They want to win and silence their opposition. So here's the thing I often say, man. I would say this to anybody. It's Pride Month. I'm proud to be an American this month. I'm proud of my civil liberties. I get to choose what I'm proud about if we're gonna have Pride. That's it. Because the things I'm proud about, and the things I think we should be celebrating, are different than yours. Am I free to do that? No one can compel me to, celebrate anything I don't want to celebrate. I don't go to somebody's house and say you have to celebrate these holidays, these religious holidays that aren't yours. I'm not going to show up at your house, knock on the door, and go, "Are you celebrating Diwali this year?" It's not going to happen. That'd be weird. Not that I celebrate Diwali, oddly, but just trying to think of something random. It's not what I'm going to do. I'm not going to say you're not a true believer unless you do X, Y, or Z, because I'm going to say, I'm sorry, what is it we're believing in, and when did you get to be in charge of me? That's insane. It's not going to happen. So I look at people like Tom MacDonald, I even look at what Johnny Depp said recently at Cannes Film Festival when he said that he goes, I don't feel blacklisted by Hollywood because I don't think about it. He's like, I don't have a need for Hollywood anymore. That's a big thing to get to, considering how much work he's done in that particular space. He's done a lot of work, but he took ownership of who he was as an actor, and I think that's admirable. And you hear Eric July talk about that in the metalcore space, and how he said, this is nuts, and I've got to be able to do my own thing. And he said that in the comic book space as well. Same with Tom McDonald. Look at the people who are doing the interesting and compelling work, and look at them, and look at the people who are successful, for God's sake. That's what's important, I'm quite serious about making June National Pride Month worldwide. Yeah, that's a thing. Yeah. I have noticed many companies haven't had their logos changed this year, or have been haven't been promoting the month at all. Well, here's the weird thing, right? If a company puts up national flags, I'll go there. Amen. Yeah. But here's the crazy thing about it, right? That's another form of compelled speech. I'm the kind of person, it's the funniest thing in the world, right? Is that maybe it's the piss and vinegar thing. Maybe it's why I'm independent and I'm in the independent space, right? But I'm getting to the point to where I remember when Joseph Campbell used to say this thing, and yeah, I mean, it was a little bit just being obnoxious, but Joseph Campbell used to say, when people come up to me and ask me if I believe in God, there were two answers I used to give. One of his responses was, if you do, I don't. If you don't, I do. And the other answer, which is the one I'd love to give, which is, you don't have time for my explanation, and keep walking. Do you know what I mean? It's like, you do not have time for my explanation, so keep walking. And I just don't do the, like I said, I mean, it's like, when I'm supportive and I'm loyal of a particular situation, or I should say, when I'm supportive and I commit myself to a particular situation, I do it, I work hard, and I don't ever want to be questioned. That's just the way it is. Because I've built up too much, I've done too much work and spent too much time. And plus, if people ask you, and it's a crazy thing again, you look at Tom McDonald, and when his song was about to get heavy rotation, and then they said, sorry, due to certain opinions or thoughts you have, we're removing it. It's like going, they want you to submit to this behavior with absolutely no guarantee of what they're going to do for you. That is what DEI and all of that stuff is. And what's weird is, and I want to be really clear about this because this is another thing, is that whenever I talk about different topics, right, it may seem like it's a blind item, right? Like it may seem like, oh, maybe he's talking about something else. That is not at all how my mind works. But I do want to tell you something I've been thinking about. Okay? Because it's weird, because whenever you're in a situation, people will think, oh man, are you thinking about this, thinking about that? Here's something that is in my real life outside. I had a friend who worked at a company for 26 years in the entertainment industry. 26 years since he got out. And I have just been dreading the news of hearing, I haven't talked to him in ages, I mean, we're fine, but we just don't talk regularly, of him getting laid off because of all of this stuff. This guy was the ultimate company man. He made huge contributions there. He was so passionate about all of this stuff. And when push came to shove, when these, again, neo-Marxist jerks came in and took over the company, his days were numbered, and they wrapped their failures up around his neck and then publicly announced he's been fired. I can't imagine what he's going through right now. I can't imagine what he is going through right now. And I'm going to tell you guys this, I will never put myself in any situation where somebody will say, there's a certain rule, litmus test you have to pass to be in this space. We're going to change what that litmus test is as time goes on, and you're out. I would rather be understood as independent, and I have people that I associate with and like, than ever be in a situation where you have to jump through those kinds of hoops, and where people demand loyalty when they don't have loyalty to you. And that is what he's experiencing right now. And I'm gutted for the guy, man. I'm gutted for the guy. It's got to just be... I don't think... It's like when you actually really know people... And I think, it's funny, I think about that with Ethan, too. What a loyal company, guy he was for DC Comics, and how supportive he was for them. And just the way that he was treated... it's crazy how many years. Now, my friend had put in more years than Ethan put in at DC Comics, for God's sake. working on things that everybody knows, things that have made, as much or more money than even some of the stuff Ethan's done. And that's saying a lot, because the stuff Ethan's done has made a ton of money for DC Comics. But it's like the in-group, out-group thing is poison, and it only serves people who are bureaucrats and want to come in and take over those groups. Do not kid yourselves. The second somebody's like, I will do this performative act, like, we're already, guys, when it comes to Comicsgate and all of these places, we're already at a point where it is going to be hipper now to say you're a part of it than to say you're not a part of it. Like, maybe people haven't saw the pendulum swing yet, but it is. And there's going to be a lot of people who want to come in with the same Marxist mentalities. So don't kid yourself. And if you've been here for a while and you've been doing your things, don't let anybody ask you to prove your loyalty to anybody. Do your stuff and work hard. If people, like, I'm fortunate to work with people and to help people in this space, and it's great. What is up, Timmy Mello, my man, channel member? It's great to see you, brother. I probably won't be able to stick around and catch today's stream, but I wanted to stop by and say hey to everyone and catch the replay. Be safe, everyone. You too, brother. It's great to see you. Thank you for coming in here. Much love, man. Yeah, a lot more people becoming disillusioned to the game. You're absolutely right. Sounds like a means to fundamentally change America. You don't say. Yeah, I know what you mean, Jelly Bean. Yeah. I try not to think of it as positive, negative. In this case, I won't punish other companies for doing nothing, but I'll reward companies for doing things like, yeah, exactly. And that is the most basic thing in the world. No one can make you feel inferior without your consent. Yep, absolutely. Hello, Timmy Mello. Yes, indeed. Says John, know your natural law-based constitution for which you are the direct beneficiary of. That is what it is, yeah. If someone wants to talk to me about, here's the thing. I've heard Ricada and I've heard Eric July and I myself say, I don't like drama or whatever. But I've learned that I'm going to start to... I've changed the way I say it because I've actually learned to start saying, I don't like politics, which is to say, I don't like that's the game by which Marxist and bureaucratic mentality works, which is to say that let's set up rules to govern this free space in terms of what people's behavior is, and what groups, or I should say what this country is that is unique, is it's letting you know what rights you do have. It's letting you know that it believes, first and foremost, you have these rights. We hold these truths to be self-evident. Once any group or organization starts getting taken over by busybodies, it starts letting you know what rights you don't have, right? What rights you don't have, even if they don't infringe on the rights of other people. It's when they infringe on the feelings of other people. Get that stuff out of your life, guys. Get it out of your life. Do not let anyone tell you what rights you... If you want to be a member here, you don't have the right to not read White Fragility comes to mind. You have to stand up and say, like, gosh, listen to... Because I was following this stuff in academia. There's this guy who was at Evergreen and has documented the Evergreen College breakdown, which was sort of a center point for the first total collapse of this kind of thinking, and it was like this utter embarrassment. But they had this sequence where they had they had this metaphorical canoe, and they asked faculty members, it's like, will you get in the canoe or out of the canoe? I mean, it is cult level stuff, man. It is crazy stuff. I mean, you watch, and it's on video, you can see it. Know your natural law-based constitution, amen. Because if you don't know your rights, you don't have any. If you think they'll just let them, just tell them to you. Yeah, what makes you think they'll tell you in favor of you and not themselves? It's absolutely right. And this is why New Zealand needs liberating. Amen. Sorry to fling some poop in the corner room. The other room. That's all right. It happens. Yeah. Guys, it's the craziest thing in the world. So I hold these truths to be self-evident, right? And these truths, in terms of me as an independent creator, all independent creators should have the right to pursue what's economically best for themselves. They should have the right to be industrious. They should have the right to be prosperous. They should have the right to freely associate with other creators, right? All of these things should be obvious. But when I go back to the start of Comicsgate, the one that gets me, is what was the first thing that they were saying to Ethan? And to me, one of the foundations of Comicsgate in this space is they told Ethan he shouldn't be talking to your boy Zach, who is, we're talking early Comicsgate before publishing. And Ethan said, no, I think I should be able to talk to, I think this guy's right, and I think I should be able to talk to who I want to talk to. That to me is something that is very easy to get behind. And I don't need DC Comics telling me that's right for me to know it's right, and neither did Ethan. I don't need any college to tell me that. Freedom of association. There's a lot of people in any independent space who are friends with people that don't get on with other people. Guilt by association is not something I believe in, and you have to be a pretty bad person for association to be the problem. You know? Yeah, there's no standing still in a moving train. Amen. Yeah, it's very true. It's very true. Yeah, you can't stand still. Yeah. I don't want to compare myself to Anne Frank yet, but I've been declared a second-class citizen. Yeah, I'm not a fan of that. I'm not a fan of that. Yeah. There's the Gandhi quote, if you're a minority of one, the truth is the truth. There's an Ayn Rand quote, which is, the smallest minority in the world is the individual. And I'm always going to be focused on and be a part of the belief and the talking that talk and walking that walk of, I value individuals. I don't enjoy mob mentality, mob rule. Let's all, attack this particular person, because that is precisely how we got here. That is precisely how we got to this point where where the kinds of people who like to manipulate mobs started manipulating them in the directions that they saw fit. All you have to do is look at their playbook, which I forget the gentleman who did, but who laid out the playbook that they're still using to this day, sometime in the 50s, the Marxist communist playbook. And so, when I'm doing this kind of stuff, I'm enjoying the fact that I get to freely create in this space, Yeah. Beware of those who tell you they have authority over you, either directly or indirectly. That's right. Yeah, how dare we be free thinking? Yeah, absolutely. I don't want to compare myself to Anne Frank yet. There's no moving a standing train. Yeah, if somebody asks me, how do I put this? When people ask you questions, sometimes I think you should reject the premise and ask them, why is it you want to know, and what is it that you want to know about that? When sometimes people ask you a question, and it's not a question about you, it's a statement about them that they want to make. Antoine Dennison with a $5 super chat. Let me add this to the broadcast. God bless you, Antoine. It still amazes me how quickly the Marxist left has employed Gestapo tactics to silence their political adversaries. It does to me, too. Yes, it absolutely does for me, too. And let me get you a cheerleader on that note. Charge! Yeah, I want to find this for you guys because you should have this in your favorites. If you don't have it in your favorites, Razorfist played it on his more Walt, less Disney stream, but it is one of the most. If you look through my YouTube history, you guys would laugh your heads off. There's so much positivity in it. I just try to put as much positivity into my head as I possibly can. It's just it's like, man buys deceased father's squad car for his son at auction. I'm sure some of you guys saw that story. I love watching stuff like that because that's what it is. That's what, makes... I don't think I'm going to be able to find this thing in a reasonable amount of time. But Razorfist had clipped it and played it, and it was a great little video on this is their strategy. This is what they do. Do you know what I mean? And I thank you for that super chat, Antoine Dennison. It's okay. Look, I probably read it fine because I can't read for beans. No, it wasn't Rules for Radicals. It was... oh my gosh. It was... It's gonna drive me crazy. But it was this video that, crowd out the weeds by overseeding with positivity. Amen. That is my motto. That's what I do. It wasn't the ex-KGB agent either. It was another guy. It was an American guy who's still with us, interestingly enough. And he just was doing this video, informational video about it. And Razorfist plays it, and it goes through everything, like accusing people of being Yahtzees, accusing people of being, you know, all of these different things. Let me see here. Nope. Let me see here. Let me see. Nope. This is going to annoy the living crumbs out of me. I wish I could find it, but it was a really great video. Yeah, it was a video, and it's not him. You guys are getting there. But it was somebody who, I am so dang dumb, it's driving me crazy. Shiver me timbers. Now this is going to be, I don't care if this is bad streaming. I'm so sorry, guys. I've got to find this because now it's just driving me utterly insane. What is the name of that person? Gosh, I cannot find it. What was his name? No. Jesus. I can't find it. It's driving me crazy. It's not Yuri. You guys are doing great, but I can't. It's shoot. It is. We're finding it, guys. We're gonna suffer through this because that's what this stream. My streams are all about suffering. They're all about suffering. They're all about frustration. They're all about these kinds of things because it's too dadgum important to not recall this person's name. And I was just watching it the other day. I thought I had it saved. And I'm scrolling and you know, my head's spinning like a, what do you call it? Like a slot machine here. Nope. I mean, I do not care how many people stop watching. I'm finding this dang thing. Thank you. It's G. Edward Griffin on communist smear tactics. Dang, was that annoying. I am so annoyed that took me so freaking long. Next time it takes me that long, just somebody euthanize me. There it is. I just pasted it into the chat. And yes, it was Corporal Cupcake with the wrench. Yes. Thank you so much. That is the one. Michael's got it. He's got it in the house. That is the one, guys. So here's the thing. Don't learn the names. Don't learn SJW. Don't learn, well, Marxist you should probably learn and be aware of, but then there's other kind of socialism outside of Marx, which Razorfist does a great job, and Derek July did a really great video on that. Learn the strategies. Learn the damn strategies of groupthink and collectivism, because you can find collectivism in independent movements all the time. It is a human tendency. It's a human tendency to want to try to define things in terms of a group, and the founding fathers understood our proclivity for it, and that they would have to try to put in as many safeguards as they could. And still, those safeguards face constant challenge by the appeal of collectivism, by the appeal of ostracizing people. And you do not want to get yourself into that. Do you know what I mean? Oh, it's a great video. Razorfist has taught me so much. They use that footage in that documentary I was telling you about. There you go. See, Michael? We're all coming at this stuff from different sides. So, yeah. We've really got to make sure that we're fortifying ourselves as individuals, because here's the thing. If a group of people all do one thing and all put themselves in alignment on everything, one mistake done from the top-down authority, or one error, or one whatever, one thing that gets overlooked by everybody as a matter of routine. And for those of us who are creating in the independent space, we do not know where that space is. We do not know where this thing is going. Things right now that are conventions of how we do business may not be there in a couple of years. We may be doing a completely different thing. Are we going to ever tie ourselves to one particular thing? We don't know. I mean, it's hard to imagine this, but imagine if YouTube isn't the streaming platform. There was a time when people were like, Facebook is the thing, MySpace is the thing. These things come and go. The principles have to be the thing that you carry on, which is why, you know, when you order stuff from Tom McDonald, and again, sorry to drag poor Tom McDonald into this, but when you order stuff from Tom McDonald, he is mailing it to you. Him and his lady, who directs his music videos, Nova Rockefeller, are are sending it to you from their place. He's like, I do physical. I have control of this. Now, if you have genuine fear of being canceled, you really should be taking, as much control of that as possible, which is why I think, what Eric July has done has been, while it's very difficult and not practical for probably everybody. See, I don't even want to say that, though. It's hard. All of these things are difficult, so do as much as you can do. I don't want to put a litmus test in front of anybody. I just want to learn from the best. I don't want to hold other people to standards as if I'm their judge. That's not how it is. Yep, states, opposing powers. Yep. I saw someone trying to conflate capitalism and collectivism in a chat the other day. Well, I'll tell you what, people are working on that. They will. They'll say, that's why I start these streams with that definition of capitalism, guys. Yeah, amen. Yeah, smart to diversify, but this is the big thing. I played that capitalism thing because when I want you guys to understand this, because this is a big part of me and what we're doing here. Big part, at least for me. And when I say we, I mean what I'm doing at Jonathan Jetty Art. Let me be clear. Because I don't want to speak for anybody else. It's not that I am or not. Like, if people want to know, it's like, hey, man, people can send me messages like, hey, man, are we cool? We friends? Don't say that, actually. I hate, are we cool? Are we good? Never, ever message me, hey, man, are we good? I'm like, doesn't sound like it now. But it's like this, man. It's like, I have relationships with people. I don't want to have, just bureaucratic associations. That robs people of everything. But the real aspect of this stuff is that it's smart for people to be individuals. It's smart. And it's smart for people to share principles, but not to share bureaucratic rules. So if somebody wants to talk to me about principles, that's fine. If people want to talk to me about, what's the day of rest for you? Saturday or Sunday? You're only right if it's Saturday, or you're only right if it's Sunday. Well, what if I don't have a day of rest? That's where it gets into something completely different. That is not my thing, right? So the questions always start with a lead, right? Are you for diversity? Right? I mean, I think, again, it's like so many people in the space have talked about it, right? It's like, you think women should have equality, right? Yeah, I do. Well, was that a question, right? Well, then you're a feminist. Didn't say that. Do you get what I mean? So it's always those little questions that people start with that are an attempt to tell you something you have to do. And I'm not going to do that here. This is one space that's not going to happen. Yes, we'll always have Skokie, Illinois. Listen, back when we were in that barbershop in Skokie, Illinois, it was a different world. And if you told me I wasn't going to be in that barbershop quartet, I wouldn't have believed you. Yeah, AKA, I've done something completely wrong. But are we good? I sometimes get more views on my streams on Rumble than on YouTube. Boom. Yeah, Rumble is looking like a solid alternative. I have no doubt it is. It's becoming the kind of hip alternative, interestingly enough. And YouTube should be watching itself. But that, I think a lot of people in our space, right, which is not a safe space, but a lot of people in our space, this is a space, this is one of the things I really respect about Eric July. Eric July reserves the right to tell people to F off. He doesn't care. Like, you don't get to, he was talking about this the other day, he's like, you don't get, if you, buying my product does not mean that you can talk to me like I'm trash. I will talk to you. That's something that a bureaucrat says. That's something I won't use his terminology, says. No, if you come at me and you think that there don't have to be any consequences for that, then that's ridiculous, right? Like, again, don't start none, as they say. But I look over at Rumble, and whenever that stuff happened with Ricada, you saw a lot, these bitches ain't loyal, as Anna, that Star Wars girl, said, and many people have said. It's an issue. But I'm not going to tell anybody that they have to get off of YouTube. I'm not going to tell anybody that they can't shop here or shop there. I'm going to make my own decisions, and I can share what I'm choosing to do for myself, but I'm not interested. So it's like, I'll give you a really good example for me. It's like, the things that I use, and I think what most people do, is I use the things that work best for me and that have the interfaces I like, which is why I use YouTube, and it's why I use a Mac. I use an Apple product for my phone, everything, for a lot of stuff. But you can break my routine if you make something better that's out there, and that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to break people's routine and create new routines here. So we've got to be bringing our A game, because that's the problem. The groupthink is what killed the mainstream. That's what it is. Like, I use acrylic paints on this, and I use this particular board. When I started working on Nosfero, I was not using these materials, but these materials are working so much better for me. They're what I need. They allow me to do glazes. They allow me to do things. So the things I use and the things I do are not dogma or a religion to me. And before I even had one conversation with John Malin, all I knew is that somebody had been kicked off of a crowdfunding platform because of their social credit score. And that's why I didn't use it for my first 2 art books. And as things change over there, and as I'm sure things will continue to be insane over at Kickstarter, all these various places, I will always have to take a hard look. I know the Fund My Comic thing looks really cool. But one, I'm not even thinking about my next campaign yet. I've got this one going on. I'm thinking about the jobs I have to do for people, the freelance commissions and things that are going to help make this space more cool and help people understand that I am a rock star painter. I'm the shit in this space when it comes to doing covers and pinups. That's what my job is, man. But I want people to be excited, and I'm open to hearing what people are trying and what people are doing. The only thing I'm not open to is people saying that this person can't do this or this person can't do that because we say so. Like, but I think that's a pretty common thing to think. You know, I love when Rekieta had his massive debate with just some guy, and he was like, "I will not have capitalism insulted in my presence." Yeah, he's painting with apple tits. That's right. Become undeniable. Amen. For me, it's simply looking like my own site. I'm very much thinking about my own site. That is the way my brain tends to work. It's tougher, but you build something you own. At John, I see no reason to not think they're real, but I don't think the views are necessarily equal. I think it's more about the lack of competition there. Yes, Rumble shares my streams out. Yeah, there you go. Now that does make sense. Yeah, it's not that coexistence is no longer an option. Coexistence was never an option. Yeah, and this is another thing too. Yeah, he the OG pimp painter. Rumble's live feed is meritocratic for now. Views drive promotion. There you go. Well, and so let's think about this too, right? Is that I don't have a belief about digital versus traditional artwork. I make choices for what works best for me. You know, so it's weird. You know, like I'm going to use digital whenever I'm using InDesign, Photoshop, color correcting things, scanning and artwork, all of that kind of stuff. You have to use that in this day and age. But the only thing that matters to me about artwork is it good? And what is that? For me, that's reasonably subjective. You know, in terms of, let's not say that actually. I don't believe art is completely subjective. I don't believe in subjectivism. However, I do believe that magical stuff that happens in artwork when you have a certain level of mastery is undeniable, and when people deny it, it's a form of insanity. You know, and I won't have it. You know, it's like, sorry kids, no. But I do think that you have to go to where you get the best work out of your stuff. I mean, the other day I needed to take a break, and since I don't know how to stop working, I was working on my novel again because I'm writing a pulp novel. And when I say pulp novel, I mean it's a very interesting kind of politically, not politically even, but it involves the supernatural, but it's only, I can only envision it as a novel. And I love that. Where am I going to take that? I don't know where I would take that to crowdfund it or how I would approach it. I have a friend of mine who knows somebody who is a small publisher that deals in science fiction fantasy stuff. And I was like, well, isn't that just, you know, God smiling down upon you and things coming together? But I'm always working on the thing I've got in front of me right now. I'm always rocking with the people who rock with me. And if it's, and nobody I'm with who's worth their salt ever asks me to effing prove it. Like, good luck if they do. Good luck if they do. If I've got your back, I mean it. And if I don't, I don't. Where were you on Tuesday? Don't figure into it for me. And it's not going to happen. You know, it's like everybody knows how to get in touch with me. Everybody knows my number. And I've got, and again, sorry, I've been thinking about some friends of mine. This has been a rough, I'll be honest, I'm doing great, but it's been a rough, it's been a rough 48 hours for some of my IRL brothers who you guys don't know from YouTube and have nothing to do with any of these spaces. And that's who I'm talking about. And that's who I've been thinking about all day today. And it's rough, man. It's like you got to be there for your brothers. You got to be there for the people in your life. And you know, it's like everybody who knows me and has been around me knows how I am with people. And if, you know, I may not be plugged into every single thing going on, but if someone reaches out to me and says, hey, there's something going on, I will pick up the phone and I will be there. That's it. End of. Simple as. But I always tell you this. I don't expect everybody to know what's going on in my life if I don't say anything to them, and I don't get angry at people for not knowing what's going on in my life, because that's just a weird thing. I want people to be taking care of their stuff, and if somebody needs me, they can shout out at me and say, hey man, I need you, I need a hand. You know, my family in real life, you know, and it's just, so, you know, it's like you don't want to be pushy too, right? Because you know this, guys, when the shit hits the fan, you know, especially when stuff is like announced in entertainment magazines and media stuff, everybody comes out of the woodwork. Oh, geez, John, thank you. I just read that and I didn't even... It just hit me, man. Thank you. I appreciate that, man. You know, but it's like, you know, when people are public and in the media, there's a certain level of reaching out to people that is... It's like you just become... It just, if you're feeling like you've been exposed and you've been thrown out there and mistreated publicly, sometimes you feel like it's all anybody's thinking about because it's all you're thinking about. And it's not always the best time to go, hey, man, I saw what happened, because it's just like, no... You know, but I will be there when people need me to be there later. You know, it's like, but I mean, there are levels of just being dragged as an industry professional that I think probably from, if you think in terms of success to cancellation, like in terms of him being on Blu-rays and everything like that, talking about his work, I think the only person in this space is probably Ethan. But I would say that, and forgive me if I'm forgetting anybody else, and I mean talking about working for a big corporation, but I think Johnny Depp has him beat. I think that was horrific. I think J.K. Rowling, thank God she owns her stuff, is getting the crap dragged out of her. Like, there are degrees to these things, and it never feels good. And you want people who are there, you know what I mean? You want people who are there, who really mean it, and not people who are there performatively. One of the common markers is Tropic Thunder a mere 1 year ago, and there is 15 years ago, and there's no way it could be made today. Perfect example. Well, and if it could, it would be, it'd take a lot of courage, right? It'd take a lot of courage. I mean, I was looking at my Cyberfrog PVCs, and yes, I'm saying that in plural. I got 3 of those things. I don't even know if he sent me too much. You know, like I was thinking about that. I was like going, did he send me too much, or did I just back that book so many times it's actually how many PVCs I had? Like, but I was just thinking about, like, how I think about this sometimes too when you see the action figure boxes coming in, that he had no way of where that stuff was going, you know, and it's beautiful to see him getting that dream of his, that lifelong dream since the Playmates deal fell through when there was that big collapse, right? And I think about the same thing with Eric July being that massive comic book fan and caring about, you know, comic book canon, and then launching his book. If you haven't seen that stream, and it may be members only now, where he was, I guess it was the closeout stream, he shouted out John Malin, he shouted out Ethan, he shouted out, you know, the Friday Night Tights guys, he shouted out Drunk 3PO, you know, and he was just overwhelmed by emotion because it sounds great, you know, it's always fun. I always say that it always looks fun to people when you take a stand. Right? It's an abstract concept to people. When I say I walked away from an 18-year career in academia, I had financial stability, health insurance, all of this other stuff that I do not have now. It sounds great to make a stand. It sounds fun to make a stand. It is not easy. So if somebody comes to me and is like, you know, questions my freaking mettle or integrity, I'm like, get the fuck out of here. Yeah. Or they'd make it, but with the acceptable, yeah, could you imagine how nerfed it would be? Oh, it would be absolutely horrendous, yeah. 2008 was a good year for Robert Downey Jr. You're right, and he's still swinging for the fences. They ain't doing so well without him. Yeah, absolutely, those jokes would suck. Yeah, it's painful, man. Absolutely painful. And I don't think that I think that there's a lot of people who have made very brave decisions that have not been performative and not been seen by a lot of people. And I'm very comfortable with mine. You know, I'm very comfortable with the fact that it's such an abstract concept for most of the people in this space to think about what I walked away from, because there aren't a lot of people. I think the person who I drew a lot of strength from is Jordan Peterson, because I walked away from the same space that he eventually ended up walking away from. And the viciousness and the attacks on your character and the feeling that you don't have a fan base. Think about that. You don't have a fan base. You have students who are like, oh, he taught me so much, you know, who you can be this beloved teacher to people and all of that stuff. And that was great. But I'm walking into a completely different space. When you see this book at 571 backers, thank you guys. Do you have any idea how much, I'm sure you do, you've been here, how much work it's taken to get there? And I didn't have the former artist of this. Concept art jobs don't do that. Freelance illustration jobs don't do that. I had to build my fan base on Instagram and then launch my 2 art books. I mean, crap, man, it's crazy to think about now. And I know it's going to keep going, and I'm proud of it, but I don't think... I will tell you this, guys, and this is something that... and guys, 30 likes, thank you guys so much, man. I love the Eric July It Ain't Easy video. If you haven't watched it, everybody should watch that. I mean, it's just the best thing ever. Yeah, I know it doesn't sound like painful and difficult. Yeah. Eric is the real deal. You can tell he's passionate just when he speaks on stream. He also has the worst rogues gallery in comics. Yeah, it's true. Simply Green, those jokes. Yeah, so let me just tell you guys this, right? So I had this thought. When I was getting to the point. I always have an introduction in my book. So my first art book was written by my brother from another mother, Nick Janesheg, and I thank him as all of my books. He is my brother. He is my family, for all intents and purposes. The second intro was written by a former student of mine and a friend of mine for decades, who I've done some concept art jobs with him where he was the art director, which was really cool. But he was the lead concept artist on Guitar Hero, the second Guitar Hero. His name is Cameron Scott Davis. He also did a video for Noman Workshop on character design, and he actually name-dropped my character design theories. He goes, check out Jonathan Jetty, that's where I learned this stuff. My cup runneth over, man. But when it came time for this book, in the back of my mind, I said, you know who I should have write this intro, who I think would be the right fit for this, is Mrs. Njetti, is my wife. And then we were up late one night, we were talking, and she said, so what's the plan for your introduction? And I said, I don't know, I'm trying to write one right now. And she's like, what about if I wrote it? And I said, are you serious? And she's like, I'm not sure, because that's her. And I said, no, I think that's what I was thinking about. Would you like to write it? So I just saw the first pass of the introduction by Mrs. Njetti, and I will tell you what, I'm not the kind of person who likes compliments per se. It was like getting, punched in the liver by Canelo Alvarez. It was a suboptimal experience in that sense. But it was absolutely beautiful. And it was written by someone who really knows you and knows what you've been through and knows how tough you are, and that's what you want from your lady, that's what you want from your partner. But it was overwhelming, and because nobody knows that story. Nobody knows what my life was like for 18 years and can appreciate what it's like to walk away from a career they don't know and never understood. But I hope it goes without saying that it was a big deal and nobody ever has to question my mettle. But either way, it doesn't matter, because the people in my close inner circle know who the hell I am. I've got those people. I've got my ride or die folks, and I've got you guys in the chat, and God bless you. Thank you so much. And it's great to see you, Siege Perilous. And yes, indeed, John, bow to Mrs. Njetti. She is the real deal. Nah, Jonathan Spears. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I thought, oh my God. Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's such a strange thing because it's wild. Yeah, absolutely. Of the saying, Sean's take the compliment. Yeah, she's up there. Yeah, she's definitely up there. But it's a very strange thing because it doesn't take a lot, to be cool with me. And I think again, I've learned a lot. I've taken some pages out of Eric July's book because he is a very independent creator, and he knows his principles, and it's great. People like that definitely. You can definitely get a lot of inspiration from. But yeah, I think that finding the people who are your customers, finding the people who have your back and want to be there. Having all of you awesome channel members out here, you know, it's like those are the folks that really matter to you. And you know, you can't long maintain being fake before your mask drops down. It can't be done, you know. And so I always say that once somebody gets to that point, it's like it's just not worth it. Like I don't lose sleep over it, but I'm like, okay, cool, we got you, because it's good people, and I mean not good persons, but good people. I've been amazed at how many new amazing people I've met. I really have been. I mean, I feel incredibly fortunate. Really fortunate, yeah. Know thine enemy, but more importantly, know thy friend. Absolutely. And here's one of my favorite Jordan Peterson quotes ever. Oh wait, commies use the from each according to their each according. There's a more capitalist saying the right man for the right job. Absolutely, absolutely right, or woman in this case. You're absolutely right. And I will say this too, is that the best quote I ever heard to determine whether somebody is your friend, and it was paraphrased in The Wolf of Wall Street that Jordan Peterson said is, friends help you celebrate your accomplishments. They help you to celebrate. And something that was really touching to me, man, is that Jericho Green said, when these books ship, I want to have you guys on my show, each, you know, individually, to talk about your you know, to celebrate. He goes, because we got to do something to mark this occasion. And I just thought, what a great thing to know, because that quote lives in me every day. Like, that's something only, you know, a friend would think to do that, to let's celebrate. You know, and it's the same thing when I hear about how his son did when his baseball team did. And I say, congratulations. You know what I'm saying? Or the folks I know up the road, man. Treat people well, man, and you'll have good people around you. Somebody who's been rocking with me since freshman year of college in the chat, the groomsman, who was with me on my wedding day, man. God bless you. It's good to see you, brother. Speaking about loyalty and long-term friendship, so perfect timing, kid. Yeah, eager for the next Backwards next album. Yeah, so am I, man. Speaking of people making music, you know, like we've got a lot going on in whatever this space is. It's bigger than Comicsgate. It's even bigger than the Iron Age, you know. I hear it's happening in tabletop and role-playing games, and maybe Iron Age is meant to be the umbrella term for that, but there's a lot. I ain't loyal to you, says the groomsman. That is how you know you've got good people around you. That covers, remember what I was just saying? This entire stream? Somebody's like, are you loyal? Like, crazy, man. It's crazy. You either know it or you don't. You don't need somebody to tell you that stuff. Yeah, hey John, I hope it was good thoughts. Yeah, man. Absolutely right. It's got to be good thoughts. You don't need that. Like, I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy when you see people who can joke about I'm not loyal to you and the other person gets it. It's like, if you have to say it, they don't know it. You know? It's like the are we good thing. If you have to ask that, then maybe, you know, you got some then you can't be. You can't be. It's just messed up, man. It's too funny. There we go. Get that sweep of the brush mark right there. I hope Razorfist loves this, man. I honestly, it's why I do all of this stuff. It was the same thing with Jeremy and the Beckoned cover. And it was the same thing, funny enough, for my brother Jeremy, Jeremy Ice and Fire. I always want to say Fire and Ice because of that dang restaurant. I'm so sorry, Jeremy. But when I did that little icon, that new icon for him, because his channel was changing. You know how excited I get when I see how many views he gets on videos talking about stuff he's passionate about? Dang, man. That's what you want to see. I'm excited for other people's successes, and I notice when people are excited for mine. That's it. That's how you can tell, man. I'll get that tattoo on my butt. Right on, man. My alter ego channel plans to bring in his musician friends. Very, very cool, man. Very, very cool. John, I'm good. Grinding on a Monday in between picking up the kids. We do what we do, man. That's right, baby. That's right. Yeah. And we're thinking about, even though I have not mentioned the person's name, business, employment, or any of these kinds of things, the groomsmen and I were texting back and forth because it's like we care about people and we care about people's lives and the things that go on in it. And again, none of this stuff, this is the crazy thing. We all have, and I know this, we've got family, we have friends that we meet in this space, and they become friends and people we hang out with in real life. It is a beautiful thing. But we've also got people who aren't in this space and may never be in this space. I mean, my mother-in-law is not going to be YouTube streaming. It ain't going to happen, right? But it's one of those things to where, you got people that you care about, and you want the best for them, man. And it's tough when you see people having a tough time, and it makes you realize, everybody has got to make sure that they've got the right people around them, and that they're always making sure that, it's like they're keeping their head on a swivel. And that's why it's very cool to me, like when you have these, I like the simple sort of interactions, False, I don't care about you. Yeah, methinks thou dost protest too much. Now I know it's gotten broke back up in here. Groomsman, the more you protest, the more, it's getting bad. Sending good vibes Jeremy's way. He deserves every view he gets. Absolutely right. The only thing I expect is loyalty from is a dog. And I own a cat. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah, man. Yeah, you try. By the way, we have a pet rabbit, as you guys know. The groomsman had extra salt preservatives in his food today. He's salty. Ew. Yeah, you guys know we have a rabbit, Mr. Thumper, who sometimes thumps during streams. And let me tell you something. If you try to brush that rabbit from his fur, because he tries to... Oh, no. Oh, groomsman. You better stop. You better stop. But you try to comb that bunny, he'll let you know what those teeth are for. He ain't happy, man. They're love nips, and he'll kick the hell out of you because he is not having it, man. He don't like it. But a rabbit can only consume so much of their fur before they become in perilous danger. So you got to stay on them, man. Got to take care of them. Let's see here. Yeah, the groomsman is very low moral fiber. I hear he steals lollipops from toddlers and doesn't hold the door open for oldies. You guys are killing me today, man. Hello, everyone, says Cranberry Langers, and we say hello to you, my friend. We say hello to you. So, yeah, guys, make sure you hit that like. Make sure you're subscribed if you are not. We're going to keep doing cool stuff, man. Whether it's RAZÖRFIST, I hope at some point, because I know it'll happen. I won't chase it because I just know it's going to happen with a lot of cool things. But I hope to do something with Eric July. I hope to do stuff with my brothers. A lot of my brothers in the CG space have already commissioned me to do pinups and things like that for them. So I've done a trading card for Ethan. That was my first job in CG, and then I also had a piece that wasn't a job in the Visions book that had that great Kenneth Rocafort snowmobile cover. Forget which one that was. And then John commissioned me for the Godlike Visions book to do a double-page spread of one of my female characters, and then someone else in CG, another brother of mine, commissioned me to do a piece in that book for one of his characters. So yeah, we're doing cool stuff, guys. It's on, and I want more because it all helps. Yeah, we used to have rabbits when I was little, and they would not let you hold them. They would scratch you up big time. They're worse than cats, and I'm a cat. There you go. Yeah, Groomsman, how dare you? Laugh because it's true. Howdy, pal. Yeah, I laugh because it's true. Yeah, so that bachelor party was a stay-in cut. No, you guys are horrendously wonderful. Let me say that. How fandoms wear labels like known associates and new material and integrated stuff. The Frazetta hub for like minds, you might say, putting them roots in. Yeah, absolutely, man. And I dig that stuff. I like that stuff. I always liked, and I thought it was fun when Ethan used to talk about that he was going to have like Comicsgate motorcycle jackets made and things like that, because I think it's fun. You know what I mean? Like I think all of that stuff is fun. And I haven't got any Rippaverse merch. I've got the book, but I haven't got any of that merch. But it's like I'm always game for cool merch for things like that. I have to tell you this, and I'm going to say this with love, and I hope why would he see this? But then whenever you say that, it's bad. If get the camera so you guys can see it's focusing in too much. Is it there? Okay, I think it's on screen now. But I wish that Tom McDonald had some better looking merch. I got to be honest with you. It's interesting, but I don't. Or he does some interesting stuff, but it's not for me. It's like how do I word it? Yeah, I just wish some of that stuff was slicker. I'll put it that way, because that's the stuff I like. I like what Eric July does. I like what Ethan does. But when it comes to hats and apparel, I actually love my the patch and logo design for Battle Brick Road. I have that hat right here. So I took the patch and I actually just super glued it on to one of my Flex Fit caps. Jim Cox and I were talking about this. This is such a cool logo. I love wearing this. And I wish Hangover Gang, which is Tom McDonald's thing, I wish they had just a little bit more simplified, cleaner graphic design gear, because I'm very particular about that stuff. At some point I may reach out to him and see about doing something for him, because I really do think that that's a place where there could be some more stuff, some more like kind of hand done stuff. But that's just me. Yeah, that's right. Well, that's Malin's territory, man. The Juggalos, right? He's ICP. I think he's running as a psychocrat, but I'm not sure. Let's see here. Truth hurts. Takes on a whole new meaning. Yeah, don't tell Mrs. Njetti, John. Yeah, there's a lot of things we're not. Yeah, a la Norm Macdonald. Indeed. Yeah. Stop stealing my movies. Oh, my moves. Sorry. No, God. Stop stealing my lack of reading ability, man. Yeah, it's there's, because you know what I mean. There's some artists that with his money and his success, I would love to see him hire, right? So you've got and that really is what it comes down to, is the caliber of people that you should be able to hire, and I'd love to see some stuff by Aaron Horkey. Again, you don't know if these people are going to work for you, depending on where you are, but it's like I'd like to see some really cool, pen and ink stuff and things like that, because I think it would go really well with his brand. You guys have seen some of the stuff, the branding stuff I've done for Jericho. It's stuff like that. I'd love to see some more of that stuff. It'd be cool. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes, man. Sean, get your aviator style jacket and just put the patches on there. Well, you know what's so funny is I want to do a patch for the Sean Njetti art crest. I just got to figure out how to build that out so that I can make a patch for it, because I would love to sell those for some serious money, for people to be able to put on caps and things like that. So that's something I am going to work on, because I absolutely love logo designs and things like that. I've got so much stuff that I want to do and put on shirts and things like that. I just got to find a way to do it. And right now I'm a one-man army. But I will say this, having Eric Weathers is a hell of a cool thing, man. But I want that, because they're cool logos. The Liberty logo, that should be a patch. We should be selling patches of that, man. And it's just, the problem is the we is me and Mrs. Njetti. But Mrs. Njetti has got like 1,000 jobs going on at any given time too, in addition to her work. So, it's like she's a full-time teacher and a full-time graphic designer practically at this point. I mean, she's doing everything. So we just got a ton of stuff going on, man. No, the monkey logo. I know, Mr. Monkey Boy 1969. You need that monkey logo. That's the one I want. Yeah, that's the one I want to do. And that came out of my first art book, Autonomous Treks. Sean Njetti art, funded, and made. Did that one with my fan base I built, and I'm very proud of that, man. And it's like, and Nosfero, I never looked down my nose at the benefit of actually being in a space where you can actually get the word out about your stuff here. Doesn't guarantee people backing it and supporting it. Doesn't guarantee people promoting it. Doesn't guarantee anything. That's not what it's about. It does give you a chance to kind of come into a space and tell people about your stuff and building a YouTube audience. A shout out to the mail-in method. Oh, what happened to Friday nights with the Angelic Sky? Oh, we're gonna get back to those. We've been talking about that a lot. We're going to be doing those again soon. It's just been slammed by freelance work and the Nosfero closing out. But yeah, that's happening. I didn't design all that stuff for no reason. It's going to happen. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yeah. Get you an aviator style jacket and put the patches on there. I totally agree with that. Yeah, I want to do that kind of thing because I love that stuff. All right, guys, we are at 2 hours and 10 minutes. Holy cow, I can't believe that were there already. But well, let me just read this real quick from channel member Hostman Socrates, Jonathan J. Art. I can't afford it right now, but maybe sometime later this year, would you take a commission to draw an avatar for my YouTube channel? Wow. One character with multiple expressions. Oh yeah. Well, once I get all this stuff done, guys, I will let you guys know when I have space for commissions. You know, I'll probably put that up on Twitter, or might even do it here because Twitter might be too many. But yeah, I'll let you guys know once I get to that point, man. Once I get to that point, without a doubt. All right, guys, we're going to wrap this stream up. Thank you guys so much for being in here. I hope you all have a wonderful Monday. I have updated the channel member credits, but I will update them again, courtesy of the 5 gifted memberships and new memberships. So thank you so much, guys, for all of that. And I hope you guys are well. As we like to say around this place, you know, and it is everything in terms of what we do here. Speak easy, stay gold, and keep the faith. You know what I mean? So I will see you guys soon. Thank you, channel members. You'll be seeing your names in the credits. Thank you, John, and everybody. Take care. Yeah, let's keep on doing it. Let's keep on rocking. Take care, folks. And peace.